Okay, so I hope my screen is visible to you guys. I have also opened this particular. Okay, Anas, I'm waiting. Okay, so we were doing June 23 last time. June 23, I'm supposed to resume. I'm resuming June 23. So before I resume, I start today. Just to clarify, my today's target is to attempt question 2 and question 3 of this particular paper. This is, I can see Hiromi, which we did last class. Uh, should we start, everyone? Mm, thanks. So let's start part B. Here we go. You should assume that today's date is 1st June 2023. 1st June 2023. Okay. The finance director of Evora Limited has requested advice on the following. On what piece? The tax implications of acquiring two assets from an unincorporated business, commencing trading activities overseas, commencing trading activities overseas, the VAT consequence of purchasing goods and services from overseas. So on 3 points, they want our advice. The following exhibit available on the left-hand side of the screen provides information relevant to the question, Evora Limited. This information should be used to answer the requirements within your chosen response answer. Evora Limited. Evora Limited owns 100% of the ordinary shares in Silves Limited. Okay, so Evora Limited owns 100% of the shares in Siles Limited. Evora Limited and Siles Limited are both UK resident trading companies. So both are UK resident trading companies. Both are UK resident trading companies. Both companies prepare accounts to 31st March each year. Siles Limited acquisition of assets from an unincorporated business. On 1st April 22, Siles Limited acquired the following assets from an unincorporated business. Alt brand, cost to Siles Limited, 50,000. Specialist machine, 30,000. Siles Limited is using both of these assets for the purpose of its trade. Okay. The Alt brand will be amortizing on a straight line basis over an 8-year period. The specialist machine was previously purchased by unincorporated business, was previously used by the unincorporated business in its trade. Siles Limited will adopt the most tax efficient treatment which is available for these assets. Mm, Before we proceed, I like to have discussion. What is the efficient treatment for these assets? What is the efficient treatment for these assets? Let's talk about Art brand first. आसान सब्सटेंशियल शेयर होल्डिंग एग्जेम्पशन क्यों याद आया आपको? आई एम जस्ट थिंकिंग सो सब्सटेंशियल शेयर होल्डिंग एग्जेम्पशन तो शेयर्स बेचने पे होते हैं, यहाँ तो अभी बेचने की तो कोई बात नहीं हो रही, यहाँ तो हम अभी बात कर रहे हैं कि साइल्स लिमिटेड ने वो खरीदा है। क्या खरीदा है? एक इनकॉर्पोरेटेड बिजनेस, मतलब एक सोल ट्रेडर बिजनेस से आल्ट ब्रांड, एक ब्रांड नेम और एक स्पेशलिस्ट मशीन खरीदी है। ओके, ये दो चीजें खरीदी हैं। जो इसने आल्ट ब्रांड खरीदा है उसका टैक्स ट्रीटमेंट क्या होगा, और जो स्पेशलिस्ट मशीन खरीदी है उसका टैक्स ट्रीटमेंट क्या होगा? सो Anas, amortization, whether it should be according to 4% basis or accounting basis. So that's fair thing, Anas. But if I ask you, कि ये तो आपने बड़ा अच्छा पॉइंट बताया, बट इन एडिशन व्हाट इज योर थॉट? क्या करना चाहिए, 4% और स्ट्रेट लाइन? सॉरी, 4% और अकाउंटिंग मेथड, व्हाट शुड बी? हाँ, तो क्या होगा? 8%, 8 years की लाइफ है? नहीं, आल्ट ब्रांड over an 8-year period. So very good, Aisha. So based on this, I can tell आल्ट ब्रांड के लिए बेहतर ये है कि अकाउंटिंग मेथड फॉलो करो, बिकॉज अकाउंटिंग में वो 8 साल में फुली अमोटाइज हो जाएगा, राइट? जबकि 4% करने जाओगे तो 4% का मतलब होगा कि वो 25 साल तक अमोटाइज होता रहेगा, थोड़ा 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 सा करके। तो दैट्स वाई 8 साल 8 साल अकाउंटिंग ट्रीटमेंट इज बेटर। आई होप दैट इज क्लियर, राइट? राइट। अच्छा, अब आते हैं स्पेशलिस्ट मशीन पे। I hope that is the case with everyone. Like it's clear the alt brand discussion. Specialist machine. What to do with the specialist machine? पहला सवाल, स्पेशलिस्ट मशीन मैंने तो नहीं खरीदी है ना, मतलब सेकेंड हैंड है या नहीं है, पहले तो ये बताओ। सेकेंड हैंड है या न्यू है मेरे लिए स्पेशलिस्ट मशीन? इट्स अ सेकेंड हैंड फॉर मी बिकॉज वो पहले से जो अनइनकॉर्पोरेटेड बिजनेस था वो इसको इस्तेमाल करता, सो इट्स सेकेंड हैंड टू बी एग्जैक्ट। क्या इसके ऊपर ईसीए मिलेगा? सिंस कंसिडरिंग द फैक्ट इट इज सेकेंड हैंड, क्या ईसीए मिलेगा? द आंसर इज नो। एआईए मिलेगा? ईसीए नहीं मिलेगा, आई एग्री। एआईए मिलेगा? Aisha, yes. AIA is available on purchase of all plant and machinery. AIA में न्यू सेकेंड हैंड की बाइफोकेशन क्लासिफिकेशन नहीं है। ये न्यू सेकेंड हैंड की बाइफोकेशन क्लासिफिकेशन इज फॉर ईसीए पर्पसेस। एआईए इज लिंक्ड विद द एक्सपेंडिचर अमाउंट, पैसे खर्च किए हैं, कोई एसेट खरीदा है, एआईए मिलेगा। सही है। So, like someone was referring मैं, बट उस वक्त mainly I was focusing on art brand, तो मैंने उस वक्त इस comment को pick up नहीं किया। But हाँ अनस, बट अभी हमारी ईसीए की क्लास में बात हुई थी जब हम कॉर्पोरेशन टैक्स के ऊपर बातचीत कर रहे थे कि कैपिटल ईसीए का कॉन्सेप्ट अभी भी अवेलेबल है, अभी भी एप्लीकेबल है, इफ यू रिकॉल। ओके, एवोरा लिमिटेड ट्रेडिंग ओवरसीज। On 1st July 23, Evora Limited will start trading in country of Salima, पता नहीं, whatever. Country of Salima. Evora Limited has been advised that it will be advantageous for tax purpose to operate through a permanent establishment rather than a subsidiary company incorporated and tax resident in Salima. Okay, so Evora Limited को बोला गया है कि भाई it will be advantageous to operate through a permanent establishment, मतलब सब्सिडरी नहीं खोलो वहां पे, ब्रांच खोल लो, रेजिडेंट इन सैलेम। अब ये देखते हैं ये बात क्यों की गई है। The overseas operations will be loss making for the first 9 months of trade, after which it is expected to be profitable। मतलब शुरू में लगता है, शुरू में हमें नजर आ रहा है कि 9 महीने तक वो लॉस मेकिंग होएगा, and then it will and then it will be profitable. Evora Limited will take relief of the loss incurred by its operations in Salima as early as possible. So Evora Limited will take the loss relief as early as possible, means they will prefer to adjust the loss in current year carry back type of thing. They really do not want to go for the carry forward of loss, right? Evora Limited currently has no other overseas operations but plan to open additional permanent establishment overseas within next few years. So it means at the moment they do not have any uh, permanent establishment out of the country, but in near future they want to open some new permanent establishments in the overseas. I don't find any particular thing to discuss over here before I move forward. The tax rate in Salima. The rate of tax on the profits of permanent establishment in Salima is 28%. There is no double tax treaty between the UK and Salima. If there is no double tax treaty, methodology of double tax relief will be followed. Forecast trading results, taxable trading profit or loss, Evora Limited, UK operations year ending 31st March 24, 610. Salima operations period ending 31st March 24, 240. Sales Limited year ending 31st March 24, 420. Neither company has any other sources of income or gains. Okay. So question one thing clarified, that there are no other income or gains earned by any of the company other than those which are specified in the question. Evora Limited, VAT. Evora Limited is registered for the purpose of VAT in the UK and makes wholly taxable supplies I hope you guys are clear. Makes wholly taxable supplies. In April 23, Evora Limited engaged the services of a legal firm in Salema to which it paid a fee of 3,500 in that same month. Okay. In May 23, Evora Limited purchased goods from a supplier in Salema costing 2,100 for sale in its UK operations. Fine. Very good, Anas. So the reverse VAT charge procedure would apply. Great. Requirements. You should assume that today's date is 1st June 23. Explain. Explain the corporation tax treatment for Siles Limited in the year ending 31st March 23 in relation to the acquisition of each of two assets. 6 marks. Explain by reference to reliefs available for the forecast trading loss why it will be advantageous for Evora Limited to commence trading in Salema through a permanent establishment rather than an overseas subsidiary company. Why? The question is why? Okay. Why it will be advantageous to operate via a subsidiary as compared to, sorry, advantageous to operate via a branch, via a permanent establishment as compared to a subsidiary. You should assume that for this part that Evora does not make an election to exempt the profits of its overseas permanent establishment from UK operations. Like, I hope you understand the implications, the consequence of this assumption. State the tax consequence for Evora Limited of making election to exempt the profits of overseas permanent establishment from the UK corporation tax and advise the company whether or not it will be beneficial to make this election on the basis of the company's current forecast results and its future plans. Requirement B2 has two components. One, consequences of making the election. Consequences of making the election. You will not claim capital allowances on the overseas asset. If profit, not supposed to pay tax. If loss, would not get relief. The election is applicable on all or nothing basis, like either your all of the branches would be exempted. So it's not like you can pick and choose which branch you want to exempt or not. So either exemption applies to all branches. So it's all or nothing. If any gain realized in overseas branch, you are not supposed to pay tax on those gains in UK. And if UK realized any capital loss, you cannot adjust that loss from the UK branch gains, if any. So these are the majorly consequences which I need to cover, which I need to document. Okay, and advise the company whether or not it will be beneficial to make this election on the basis of company's current forecast results. So first is consequence. Second, what should we do? Should we make election? Should we not make election? So if you ask me, the first part of B2 is purely generic, whereas the second part of B2 is purely scenario specific. Explain. Okay. B1, B2. Any feedback, any comment? I will talk about group as well, by the way. Yeah. Explain how the following items will be reported on Evora Limited VAT return for the quarter ending 30th June 23. How the following items will be reported on Evora Limited VAT return for the quarter ending 30th June 23. The services purchased from the overseas legal firm and the goods acquired from the overseas supplier. Anas, oh, so Anas, your confusion, your concern is towards uh, branch versus subsidiary type of discussion. Is it so? Okay, you can discuss before I start writing the answer. By the way, guys, I really don't think that we will be needing the spreadsheet over here at all. I personally believe like majority of the answer will be covered with the help of spreadsheet. Yes, Anas, please. So what is main confusion? You can unmute and speak if you want. Oh, okay. So you are struggling with the conceptual difference, not an issue. Branch and subsidiary. What is the difference between branch and subsidiary? I ask you the question. In your opinion, please do unmute and speak. What is the difference between branch and subsidiary? What is the difference between branch and subsidiary? In general, like what do you understand? What do you understand? What is the general difference? And branch, my friend, do unmute and speak while like you taking time and more effort. Okay, I leave it to you. I'm not forcing, but up to you. Let me give you a bit idea about it, Anas. Branch versus subsidiary. Just imagine, let's suppose a bank in Pakistan. Let's take the name of Habib Bank. It has 1,000 branches in Pakistan. Does this 1,000 means that Habib Bank has 1,000 separate entities? The answer is no. Branch, technically speaking, is not a separate entity. Branch is basically my own part and parcel. It's not a separate entity. Whereas subsidiary is a separate legal entity. For branch, there is no separate P&L required, okay? Because there is no separate audit requirement for branch. Whereas subsidiary is a separate legal entity. For branch, there is no requirement, let's say, to have BOD meeting, separate share capital, etc., because it is my part and parcel. For a tree, there are always branches. Think from that perspective. It means branch is my part and parcel. It's not a separate entity. Okay. Whereas subsidiary, it's always a separate legal entity. Now, linking to this point, since branch is not a separate entity, hence, if branch is earning any profit, I have to pay tax on it. If branch is making any loss, I will get the benefit of that loss. Or if I am making loss, branch is making profit, my loss can be adjusted with that profit. If branch purchased any asset, any plant and machinery, I will get capital because it's my entity. I will get capital allowance. If branch disposed of any asset which realized the capital loss or capital gain, that can be adjusted against my gains or my loss, right? Cutting the story short, since it is my part and parcel, so it will be treated exactly in the same way as I am doing something. Okay. Having said all that, if I made a branch exemption election, if I made a branch exemption election, then branch would become out of scope of tax. And there is no charge, there is no cost of making that election. Anyone can make it. But if I make an election to exempt it, then I'm not supposed to pay tax on those profits. I will not be allowed to take benefit of that loss. I will not be allowed to claim capital allowance on the assets purchased by the branch, plant and machinery purchased by the branch. I'm not supposed to pay tax on capital gains or save tax on capital loss realized by the branch. Like it will be completely ignored. The branch exemption election is an irrevocable election. Means once done, you cannot change it. It should be done before the start of accounting period. And branch exemption election is not on selective basis. So either if you made the election, it will be applicable on all of your branches. So it's not like cherry picking is allowed over here with respect to branch exemption election. It's in the tax language, you call it as either all or nothing. Means you have to pay either all will be in a scope or all will be out of scope. It's not like let's take this in a scope, let's take out from the scope. That's not allowed. Done? Okay. Unless that is part of the corporation tax. So it is in the corporation tax. Uh, someone, I'm for sure someone would be able to advise the page number as well. Can someone remind, please, on which page this topic is? Uh, Branch versus subsidiary in the corporation tax? If you are searching in overseas, so thank God you won't get it. Otherwise, I will be surprised to hear if you say, sir, I was funding in overseas. I read it in overseas. So that would be more concern for me. Everyone, thanks Anas for raising this. Uh, Anas, here you go. It's at page 15, corporation tax. So thank you, Anas, for raising this. And like this, if anyone wants to have a quick revision of any such type of topic, I'm happy to do that because such quick revisions normally have more retention as compared to what we study during the lectures. So anyone? Before I start the answer of this question? No. Okay. Part A, corporation tax treatment in relation to acquisition of two assets for year ending 31st March 23. To be honest, Anas, yes, your this comment is right. This is a commonly examined area. So, very rough probability. There are four exams in a year, and on average, once in a year, it is normally examined. Okay. So I'm telling this is like a normally examined area. Explain in relation to explain the corporation tax treatment. Tax authorities allows companies either to deduct amortization at the rate of 4% on straight line basis, or or so one option is to claim straight line basis of amortization, or hence the amortization percentage would be Hence, it will be beneficial for sales limited to accordingly. Mm, can anyone tell me, please? Is it 2,500 or six? Sorry, 8 6 are 48. 6250. Specialist machine. That is point number one. Point number two. Hence would not qualify for. However, AIA investment allowance I'm done with this. Before I move forward, anyone has any feedback? Before I move forward, anyone has any feedback? Adhan, very fair point, very fair comment. I 100% agree with your statement. Like, answer is pretty much straightforward, but how it has to be structured, what should be the first line, from where to start, these are some of the important elements which obviously needs to be learned. Anas, that's a very good question. Like, what are the consequences or implications of overwriting? So, overwriting, if you are assumingly writing everything perfectly fine, there is no issue except of one point. And the only point which is a possible issue is like in exam time is limited, right? If you are overwriting, it means you are taking time from some other question. If I say like, uh, you know, this time is owned by some other question which you are giving it to this particular question. So from that perspective, it's an issue. Other than this aspect, there is no issue, I can tell. And why overwriting? Maybe if you write anything wrong, that can lead to some issue. Um, can I move to part B of the question? Okay. Part B. Explain by reference to the available by expense, sorry, by reference to the release available for the forecast trading laws, why it will be advantageous for Evora Limited to commence trading in Salima through a permanent establishment rather than an overseas subsidiary. Reliefs available forecast trading loss. Advantage to operate via permanent establishment, PE. Can I request you guys to please post your answers of this question over here? Can I request you guys to post the pointers, I would say, over here? Can claim UK capital allowance. So one is on the losses front. Losses can be adjusted if UK is loss making. But by the way, I'm not supposed to say if UK is loss making, since in the forecast trading results, it is very clearly mentioned that Evora is profit making and Selima is loss making. So with reference to this, Aisha, very good statement. So, this is something which examiner expect you guys to follow, like take some reference from the question. Uh, in the previous comments, we keep it very general, but if you look the comment Aisha shared, it is, bit linked with the scenario. So which is always appreciated by the examiner. And very good, Aisha. And anything? And anything, please? These two are even fine. You just need to elaborate and explain it. And that's the second and the important task now. Now, let's start writing the answer on these particular lines. So I'm supposed to advise. Okay. A permanent establishment does not constitute. So if you notice, I explained PE abbreviation in the heading. So that's why I'm using the abbreviation now. Does not constitute a separate legal entity. unlike a subsidiary. Therefore, as the PE will incur a trading loss in the first 9 months of trading, this can be offset against Evora Limited's UK trading profit for the year ending 31st March 24. Therefore, obtaining immediate relief for the loss, which is the group strategy. I'm right, right? It is somewhat mentioned that the group has a policy to claim relief for losses as early as possible. It is somewhat mentioned somewhere, right? I don't I don't know why I'm recalling this. It is mentioned over here. Yeah, I was right. So considering the group strategy, I'm like creating a subsidiary, creating a branch is better. However, trading losses incurred by a non-UK resident subsidiary company cannot adjust its loss with the profits of UK company. Hence, loss relief would be delayed. These 2 points clear? B2. B2 has two parts. Tax consequences for Evora Limited of making an election and advise the company whether or not it will be beneficial to make this election on the basis of the company's current forecast results and its future plans. Okay. So if you ask me, election to exempt election to exempt the profits of overseas PEs from UK corporation tax. So here I am going to address two aspects. One is tax consequences, and secondly, I will talk about benefits. Sorry, advice. Tax consequences. I'm talking about what are the benefits of exempting it, okay? Trading profits generated in overseas permanent establishments will not be liable to UK corporation tax. So this is the first consequence. I'm writing consequence. I'm not writing advantage or disadvantage, okay? No relief will be available in the UK in respect of trading loss incurred in overseas permanent establishment. No capital allowance will be claimed in the UK in respect of plant and machinery acquired for use in overseas permanent establishment. Again, I'm repeating, I'm just writing tax consequences. I'm not writing advantage, disadvantage. This election is irrevocable and will apply to all future overseas permanent establishments established by Evora Limited. These are the tax consequences. Now, the second phase was advise the company whether or not it will be beneficial to make this election. Advice to company So, if I ask you guys advice whether it is beneficial or not, what would you guys say? Is it beneficial? Yeah, branch exemption election. Hmm. I'll start writing the answer. There is no advantage for Evora Limited to make this election at this point, as the permanent establishment in Salima will generate loss in its first 9 months of trading, which, without making the election, can be relieved in UK. When the permanent establishment in Salima subsequently becomes profitable, after the 9 months period, there will be no UK corporation tax liability due to availability of this is because the rate of tax charged in charged on profits in Salima is higher than the is higher than the rate charged So there is no benefit of making the election at this point. In addition, um, in addition, the election would prevent UK capital allowances being available in respect of expenditure on capital assets used in any overseas permanent establishments, and no loss relief would be available in respect of any future trading losses incurred by any overseas permanent establishments, including those which are yet to be set up. Therefore, making this election would not appear to be beneficial for Ebora Limited. Sorry, I can see there are three comments. Let me have a look at the comments. Mm, so comments are Anas Bakhtawar. Bakhtawar, the losses are of the 9 months period and then is forecast to earn. So I think it's beneficial. So Bakhtawar, if you look, we are concluding in the similar way that at the moment you should not do it. Later on, we can consider, we can relook, but right now it's not. Okay. And you very validly pointed out that the foreign rate of tax is 26, UK rate of tax is 25. So, like, whether you go for it or not, oh, it's not 26, it's 28. Sorry, it's not 26, it's 28. Anas, sorry, my bad. My typo, it's not 26, it's 28. No, 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 no. Sorry, my friend. Um, Anything to clarify? So, Farhan, on your point, So Farhan, on your point, I can tell you today, uh, once you start the permanent establishment for the first time, by default, there is no exemption. Okay. By default, it is taxable. If you want it to be exempt, then you have to make the election. This election is one off. Once you made it, it cannot be revoked and not it cannot be changed. But there is always a first time option that you can make this election. So before that, it would be taxed. So by default, it's taxable. Election you can make, you cannot make, but once you make, cannot be changed. I hope I'm clear. So Farhan, just imagine if I start any branch overseas today for the first time. By default, the branch is taxable. By default, the branch is taxable. It will always remain taxable unless you go for the exemption election. As you go for the exemption election, then it will be exempt. And once you elect, it would always remain exempt. Okay. Can we move to question three, please? Sorry, question three, I mean part C of the requirement. Explain how the following items will be reported on Evora Limited VAT return for the quarter ending 30th June 23. Mm, so let me put simple heading of and in the VAT space, we are talking about two things. Overseas legal services from overseas legal firm. And second one is okay, services from overseas legal firm. The legal firm's services provided to Evora Limited will be regarded as supplied in the UK as this is Evora Limited's place of business. Accordingly, Evora Limited will be required to account for output tax in its VAT return for the quarter ending 30th June 2023. It can then recover this amount as input tax on the same VAT return. Therefore, these entries would not create any impact on the amount of VAT payable by Evora Limited for this quarter. The goods acquired from overseas by Evora Limited in the quarter ending 30th June 2023 will be reported in the same way as the legal firms services as the supply of legal firm services. Therefore, this expense will also not impact on the amount of VAT payable by Evora Limited for this quarter. I'm done. So anything on the VAT part? Thanks, Anas, for the feedback. Anyone else, please? Farhan? No. So it's like if you look, I am like you purchase the and that's the reverse search procedure. So the reverse search procedure is basic. I'm not sure who commented the reverse search procedure point. So under the reverse search procedure, you have to record output, you have to record input. Nutshell remains VAT neutral. And if you say like whatever I concluded the last line of both of these headings, I can show you the pointers in my notes as well, where my conclusion is also the same. Uh, no VAT implication eventually. It remains VAT neutral unless person makes partial taxable supplies, partial exempt supplies, all those things. Otherwise, no VAT implications. Mm. Should we move to the next question? I saved it, by the way. Should we move to the next question? So before I move, can I request everyone to share one line of feedback on this question? Like a comment on this question, how you find this question, what's the key takeaway, what's the key learning from this question? Do you want me to take the names? Mm, Azan, I can tell you on this comment, the more you practice, it will automatically. So to be honest, my own personal feeling is you guys are still lacking in the practice front. So, and this is my contribution to you. A very Anas, so on your point, I understand you are struggling with this conceptually, so that's why. Aisha, uh, on part B2, on this comment, so I can tell you one thing from my own experience. One type of questions. What you just need to do is focus on the requirement, break the requirement at granular level as much as you can. It will be easy to answer. Unless you break the requirements at granular level, it will remain difficult for you. Oh, Farhan, yes, very true. A very good comment, Farhan. So calculative answers are bit, I would say, easy to answer, but these type of theoretical answers uh, are more difficult to answer as you need to be very clear on these type of questions. Mm, good to hear this, Anas. So, Bakhtavar, a very good point. Uh, how many questions should we do in a day? Yeah, maybe I was about to answer this comment on a way. Yeah, I was starting to answer this question, Aisha. How many questions should we practice a day? So it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. So ideally, your first key target should be that you have to complete your exam kit. I'm really not sure how much questions you have attempted till yet, but if someone says that today is the first day I'm starting the exam kit, then do let me know how much questions should I attempt. So if I look to the exam kit, there are approximately 60 questions, 70 questions, if I'm not recalling wrong. Can someone confirm how many questions are there in exam kit? 66 questions. So today is 15th November. So if I divide it, so it's like 4.5 questions per day. So if you make 4 questions per day, 4.5 questions per day, in fact, you should be reverse count till 14 days, 14, 4, 5, make it around 5 questions per day. You will be able to complete the exam kit. Then for rest of 2 to 3 days, you should attempt the questions on the CB practice platform. The first preference is try to attempt 100% questions plus keep 2 3 days reserve for questions at CB practice platform. So that's the piece of advice. But let's say if today is 20th, if someone approached me, sir, ABC reasons, XYZ reasons, interestingly, whenever I spoke to students,
Just a sec.
okay, so actually the battery of my headphones gone, so I connected the wire. um, Mock, in my opinion, yes, it should be bare minimum 3 to 4 days before, but it has to be attempted. And secondly, mock has to be on the CB practice platform. Second, Bhaktawar, on your point, I missed to answer this earlier. Uh, Examiner report or examiner feedback. Yes, that's a very good way to look for your answers, to look for the expectations where you are not fulfilling the expectation. So that's always a good learning, uh, where you learn what are your key mistakes. Again, guys, having said all that, one keep one piece of advice from my side in your mind for all of the exams at least. Quantity is important, but it should not be on the compromise of quality. So attempting 100% is important from a paper perspective, but attempting 100% at the cost of compromising the quality, like in a hurry, in a rush, I start writing whatever I am writing. I don't know myself what I'm writing. Then this type of 100-mark paper, it is better that you attempt 80 marks, let's say, but you should be yourself clear what you should write. So Aisha, my simple feedback was, let's say today's 15, 66 questions, as you said in the exam kit. So make it 5 questions per day, round, it will be 70, right? So 5 questions you need to attempt along with the answers, to review the answers, to read the examiner report, to read the tutorial notes, all of these. But with all that, my second piece of advice is, like, if not four, three is also okay, but they should be with the quality. Like whatever you are studying, that should be proper. Like if someone asks me, sir, I'm a bit sleepy right now, I'm struggling to understand what you are telling, I'm very much sleepy, what should I do? I would say go and sleep. You can compromise one question, but you will be perfectly available for at least second question. So that is the approach. Quantity is important. Like I always say, quantity is important, but quantity should not be on the compromise of quality. So if you feel like to cover more quantity, I am compromising the quality. It's better to forego the quantity. There is no compromise. There should be no compromise on quality. Sorry if I, uh, you know, said too much about it. Okay. Um, Before I start this question, can we take 8 minutes of break? 7 minutes. 7 minutes. So it's 8:43 by my watch. Let's resume at 8:50. So Isha prayers, one left, please get it. Okay. Sorry. So should we start? Thank you. Should we start? Sorry. Uh, so unless, yes, that would work. Uh, like that's also doable. Okay, guys, let's start this question. We should assume that today's date is 1st June 2023. Anya requires advice on the capital gains tax implications and inheritance tax implications of gifting a payment, the CGT and IHT reliefs available on a gift of shares, and the impact on post-tax income of the gift of shares. Okay. So apparently from the requirement, it looks to me IHT, CGT, CGT, IHT, and post-tax income on the gift of shares. So somewhat income aspect as well. So I'm going to start reading the question now. With the first line being, Anya is tax resident and domiciled in the UK. Generally, earlier whenever we read this statement, we are not clear like what does this statement implies. But now we are very much clear what does this statement imply. So this statement implies that Anya has to pay UK income tax on worldwide assets, sorry, worldwide income, UK CGT on worldwide gains, and UK IHT on worldwide assets, right? Has never been married or in a civil partnership. Okay. Has never been married or in civil partnership. Has one daughter, Kara, and two granddaughters, Flava and sorry, one daughter Kara and two granddaughters, Flava and Violet, all of them, sorry, all of whom are tax resident and domiciled in the UK. Has made only one previous lifetime gift on 31st March 22. She gave Kara an investment property valued at 390,000. Um, you should assume that Anya will die on 6th September 2024. Anya proposed gift. Anya is proposing to make the following gifts: 50,000 cash to Flava on 1st July 23, a painting to Violet on 1st August 23. At the moment, painting value is not mentioned. All of her ordinary shares in Chasky Limited to Kara on 1st September 2023. Okay. Propose gift of painting. Anya purchased the painting on 8 July 2008 for 104,000. Anya purchased the painting on 1st July 2000 on 8 July 2008 for 104,000. The value of the painting on 1st August 2003 will be 63,000. Okay. Proposed gift of shares in Chasky Limited. Anya acquired 100% of the ordinary shares in Chasky Limited on 1st May 2009. Chasky Limited is an unquoted trading company. So, as I read that Chasky Limited is unquoted trading company, first thing which came into my mind, considering we are talking about IHT and CGT, is On these unquoted, Farhan, BADR is linked with the employee as well. So at the moment, since employment status, nothing mentioned. So that's why I'm not talking about BADR from a CDT perspective. Even I will not talk about investor relief because the shares were acquired on 1st May 2009. So I really don't know at the moment whether the shares acquired via subscription or not. But considering that date, I can tell investor relief would not be available. But like you guys said, Azan Bakhtavar, yes, BPR would be available from IHT perspective, from CDT perspective. The gift holdover relief would also be available on these shares. Okay. The market value of the assets owned by Chasky Limited at 1st September 23 will be as follows. Land and building 853, equipment held as an investment 60,000, percent BPR, 100% gift holdover, and or any other relief would not be available because there are some non-business assets as well within the company. ANIA income. ANIA has gross annual taxable pension income of 65,000. ANIA other sources of income has been dividends from Chasky Limited. Okay. Chasky Limited paid a dividend of 40,000 in respect of ordinary shares on 14 January 23 and will pay a dividend of 34,000 in on 31st January on 13 January 2024. We are proposing to give the shares on 1st September 23. So just imagine if we go as per plan, then I can tell, I can tell 1st September 23. It means this dividend will be received by Anya and this dividend will not be received by Anya. Rather, this dividend will be received by Kara, like the one who is receiving the shares, right? Now, if I look into the requirement, you should assume that today's date is 1st June 2023. Anya will die second. Anya will die on 6th September 24. By the way, when she was gifting these assets. July 23, August 23, and September 23. So on all of these three assets, there will be no no taper relief type of stuff. But on this lifetime gift, 22, 23, 24, there will also be no taper relief available on this. Right. Explain the capital gains tax and inheritance tax implications of the proposed gift of painting to Violet on 1st August 23. So first explanation of capital gains tax and inheritance tax implications. Second, in relation to Anya proposed gift of Chasky Limited shares to Kara on 1st September 23, advice on the availability to Anya of gift holdover relief and any consequences of Kara of this relief being claimed. This is important. What does the word advice means? Are we supposed to calculate or are we supposed to write the answer mainly in verbatim? What is the key expectation from this verb of advice? So if you ask me from this verb of advice, I can tell it's more of explanation. So it's more of explanation than calculation, advice. Okay. Second, advice on the availability of BPR in calculating IHT liability on this gift as a result of Anya death and any additional conditions for Kara attaching to this relief. Okay. Calculate reduction in Anya post-tax income for the tax year 23-24 compared with last year 22-23 on the assumption that she gift all of her shares in Chasky Limited to Kara as planned. Professional marks will be awarded for demonstration of skills in analysis and evaluation and commercial acumen. So you need to demonstrate these two skills as well. Looks to be pretty much straightforward. For part C, 5 marks, it looks to be calculative. Other than those 5 marks, the question looks to be purely theoretical. Um, any comment or feedback before I start the answer? Any feedback before I start the answer? Good to hear this, Anas. So the first requirement is around Anas, I'll give a comment on this point once done with this question. Explain the capital. Okay, so for part A of the requirement, tax implications of gift of painting to violate. And in the tax implications, the first discussion would be on capital gains tax, and the second discussion would be on inheritance tax. Bold underline, bold, bold. Um, okay. The gift of painting to violate by Anya would be considered as disposal from capital gains perspective, and disposal would be recorded at market value, first of all. Accordingly, this gift would result in a capital loss of 104,000 minus 63,000 of 63,000 minus 104,000 since already a loss, hence there is no need to consider gift holdover relief. Even if there is gain as a result of gift, gift holdover relief would not be available as the asset is not a as the painting is not a business asset. From IHT perspective, the gift of painting will be potentially exempt transfer PET for IHT purposes. By the way, when this gift was made, 1st August 23. Gift of painting will be annual exemption would not be available on this on gift of painting as this has already been used against the gift of 50,000 cash to Flava on 1st July 2023. It will become chargeable as a result of Anya death, as it is within 7 years of transfer, i.e. on 6 September 2024. nil rate band, NRB, will not be available as it would be used against the gift of investment property to Kara on 31st March 2022. Taper relief would also not be available as Anya death occurs within 3 years of transfer. Accordingly, the gift of the painting will give rise to an IHT liability of 63,000 multiplied by 40%. 6 fours are 24. 24,000, 3,000 into 40%, 1,200, 25,200, 25,200, which will be payable by Violet. Um, any question on this? Any question on this part? Thanks, Robat, Azan. Sorry, Anas, I missed your question. That's good, Anas. Uh, oh yeah, sorry. So I was like, I will give a comment once I'm done with the question. Should I start part B of the question? Okay, I'm going to start part B. In relation to Anya proposed gift of Chasky Limited shares to Kara on 1st September 23, advice on the availability of gift holdover relief and any consequence for Kara of this relief being claimed. Uh, okay. Advice on the availability of BPR and calculating IHT liability on this gift result as a result of Anya death and any additional conditions for Tara attaching to this relief. Fine. B. Um, Propose gift of Chasky Limited shares to Kara. Availability of gift holdover relief. I will make one more heading, which is like consequences for Kara. Okay. Availability of gift holdover relief. Yes, would the gift holdover relief be available? The gift of the shares in Chasky Limited will be eligible. Yes, Bakhtawar, that's very good comment. Will be eligible for gift holdover relief as Chasky Limited is unquoted trading company. Hence, Chasky Limited has some non chargeable business assets as well. Hence, gift holdover relief will be restricted to the proportion of chargeable business assets. The proportion of gain which will be eligible for gift holdover relief will be calculated as the value of chargeable business assets divided by the chargeable assets. Accordingly, the proportion of gain which will qualify for relief is now if I um Trusky land and building. Okay. So first of all, if I look 853,000, 78,000, 853,000, 78,000, 60,000 and 43,000, 63,000, 43,000. Business asset. This, this, not a business asset, business asset. So if I take business assets to total assets, 94%. Now, second thing, chargeable asset, chargeable business asset. Chargeable asset are the ones on which we are supposed to pay capital gains tax. 853, equipment is not a chargeable asset. Shareholding is a chargeable asset. Inventory and cash is not a chargeable asset. Chargeable business asset. One, chargeable business to total chargeable assets. 93.4, 94.3, 94.3, 93.4. Sorry, there was some comment before I move forward. Oh, three comments. Equipment will be exempt. Anas, I hope your issue is resolved, right? So first I calculated business asset to total asset, and then my second calculation is towards chargeable business asset to chargeable total asset. So both things are different. Now, uh, sorry, Aisha, exemptions as in, you're asking me to explain about the exemptions. Exemptions as in, oh, so is equipment, inventory, cash, are these chargeable assets from capital gains perspective? So this is the question. So what is chargeable asset? Chargeable asset means on which we are supposed to pay capital gains tax. Equipment, is it an exempt asset from capital gains perspective or chargeable asset? Hmm, exactly. Inventory and cash are exempt. And what about equipment? Equipment is tangible, movable, life more than 50, less than 50. Life more than 50, less than 50. Less than 50. So isn't it like wasting chattel, and wasting chattels are exempt from capital gains? No worries, Aisha. No worries. Now, uh, one was availability of gift holdover relief, and second ask in the requirement was consequences for Kara of this relief being claimed. Sure. Uh, is it fine? Okay. Second one was consequences for Kara of the relief being claimed. Consequences for Kara of relief being claimed. When Kara subsequently dispose of the shares, her base cost will be reduced by the amount of gift hold over relief, such that her gain on the sale will be higher. Then uh, IHT relief available on the gift of the Chasqui Limited shares. IHT reliefs available on the gift of the Chasqui Limited shares. I will capture the consequences separately because they also ask me to share the consequences, additional conditions, type of stuff. Yes, so IHT reliefs available, or we can cover it here. Very good, Bakhtavar. So let me start it. Uh, Business property relief PPR will be available at the rate of 100% as Chasqui Limited is an unquoted trading company and Anya have held the shares for more than 2 years prior to the date of the gift. However, the fact that Chasqui Limited assets include shares in RQ Limited, which is not a business asset for Chasqui Limited. Hence, the relief will be restricted to the proportion of business assets to total assets. Accordingly, the relief available would be 94.2, 94.2%. Refer working one on spreadsheet. Additional conditions. So now additional conditions. So Kara must hold the shares or replacement business property at the end of Anya's death in order for BPR to be available. Otherwise, the BPR would claw back. I'm done. Do let me know if anyone has any feedback till here, or can I start the third part of the question, C part of the question? Thanks, Anas. Thanks, Aisha. All other are tired. Is that so? Sure, Azan. So on this point, on your comment, gift holdover relief, business property relief, uh, and other instances where shares are considered as business asset, for example, BADR, for example, investor relief. For all such points, the condition is the shares should be business asset. And here the reference is that in the balance sheet of the company, all assets should be business asset, i.e., there should be no non-business asset. Non-business assets are like investment property, shares type of stuff, i.e., these are not your business assets, which is not part of your core operating activity. So, even I can tell i- in this question, we were talking about gift holdover relief, right? Even if it's BPR, sorry, even if it's BADR, even if it's investor relief, for all CGT reliefs purposes, the relief over here would be 93.4. For IHT purposes, since it qualifies for BPR, hence exclusion would reside with non-business assets. So I can see the only shares in RQ Limited are non-business assets. That's why we have excluded the shares in the calculation of the business asset proportion. So if you ask me what is the exact list of items which should be excluded, so in easy words, for example, investments, investment in land, investment in shares, these type of things are excluded from the calculation of business asset. You're most welcome. Robat, you are quite silent from some long time. No comment. Part C. Calculate the reduction in ANIA post-tax income. Thanks, Robat, for the feedback. Calculate the reduction in ANIA post-tax income for the tax year 23-24 as compared with the tax year 22-23 on the assumption that she gift all of her shares in Chasky Limited to Kara as planned. So it's like whatever we planned that goes as it is. What will be the implication? So I'm going to start part C, which is like reduction in Anya's post-tax income for the tax year 23-24. Reduction in post-tax income is refer working to on spreadsheet. Let's make it 22, 23, 23, 24. Pension income 65,000, 65,000. Dividend from Chasky Limited, it was 40,000 and it is nil, right? Total income 105. Personal allowance Taxable income. I'm not supposed to share the reduction in taxable income. I'm supposed to share in income tax liability, but personal allowance. Two thousand 22-23 personal allowance. Adjusted net income is same as net income, right? Because there is no pension, etc., etc. As a result, adjusted net income amounts 105. Income limit, income excess over limit, personal allowance, taper by, available personal allowance 12,570 minus I don't personally believe that it would be anything difficult, but if it is like any personal allowance calculation, do let me know. Why it is dancing? That is hilarious. At the moment, it is hilarious, and in the, if God forbid, if such thing happens in exam, then it would be. No, sorry, not deducted at this amount. Okay, now if I start applying the tax rates, it is 20%, 37,700 into 20% for this year, 37,700 multiplied by 20%. Now, over here, 65,000 is the pension income. Personal allowance should be deducted from here, right? Because personal allowance is always first deducted from the other non-saving. Then the basic rate band, 52. Are you guys clear with this? This, in fact, this. Everyone. Are you guys clear with this? Thanks, Anas. Others, please. Thanks, Rabat. Azan, who left? Aisha Bakhtawar. You guys clear with this? 17 to 30. Thanks, Aisha. Great, Bakhtawar. Okay. Um, dividend is 40,000. Of this, 500 is exempt, right? Dividend in the high rate taxed at 33.75%. So here there is no dividend, no dividend. Oh, the requirement is not reduction in tax liability. The requirement is reduction in post-tax income. Post-tax income. So this is income, this is tax. Total tax expense. This is income, this is tax, total tax expense. So this difference is, okay, so these are the post-tax incomes, right? That looks scary, like changing the formulas. Hell is scary. Sorry, can see there is some issue. Okay, so reduction in post-tax income is 25669. I'm done. Um, your feedback, your questions. Guys, your feedback, your questions. Uh, yes, boy. Azan, uh, can you please bit elaborate on your comment? Things are not looking good for me despite frequent revision practicing. So, can you please guide me, Azan, in what sense things are not good? What you are struggling with? By the way, everyone, I'm planning to keep one, two more sessions of this type. So, one session, let's keep it tomorrow, same time. Tomorrow, same time. Uh, yes, exactly. Where I try my best to cover the question which contains the memo. And obviously, like this is part of section uh, A. So obviously that will be 50 marks question. But let me try to pick up any such question. Okay. Anas, difficult for me. So from my end, yes, I'm looking for your questions. So Adan, that's what I'm trying to understand more, where you are struggling. Um, mm, sure, sure. Anas, for sure. If anyone want to have discussion, conversation on any lines, can stay. Otherwise, up to you. Azan, you can unmute and speak. We can discuss. Um, of the today's class, overseas, you found it tricky. To be honest, I would bit surprised on overseas. To be honest, because in my opinion, that was maybe one of the easiest type of stuff. But we need to understand, Azan, what's your struggling point? Is your struggling point more towards attempting the question? It's like you are not picking up the requirement. It's like you understand the requirement, but what is being asked, you are not clear on those lines. Probably this is more important to understand for me. Bakhtawa, Rubat, Aisha, if you guys want to discuss anything, you guys want to hear our discussion, please, you can stay. If you want to leave, please do not hesitate. I totally up to you. It's just I still want, or even if you want to have any discussion, you can stay. Otherwise, totally up to you. Yes, Azan, unmute yourself and let's have a discussion properly, please. Yeah, yeah, please, please. Azan, go ahead.
जी सर। सर मेरी वॉइस क्लियर है आपको?
लाउड एंड क्लियर।
जी सर, तो अभी जैसे ये हो रहा है कि मैंने सारे लेक्चर्स ऑफ कोर्स अभी तो सारे मैं देख चुका हूँ। फिर मैं जो बेसिक
गुड।
क्वेश्चन प्रैक्टिस है मैं वहाँ पे अभी मैं कॉर्पोरेशन टैक्स पे था। तो अब मैं उसमें
हम्म।
ये हो रहा है कि वो तो हो जाते हैं, जैसे मैं पहले मैं नोट्स पूरे पढ़ता हूँ फिर मैं क्वेश्चन प्रैक्टिस पे आता हूँ। लेकिन जब मैं ऐसे पास पेपर्स, तो भी वेरी ऑनेस्ट सब मैंने अभी तक पास पेपर्स की प्रैक्टिस स्टार्ट नहीं की है। मेरे ऑफिस के भी कमिटमेंट्स होते हैं, तो वहाँ पे अभी हमारी वो क्लोजिंग भी थी, तो उसमें काफ़ी टाइम लग रहा था मेरा ऑफिस में। तो
हम्म।
पूरा भी लास्ट उसी में चला गया। बाकी सर अगर क्वेश्चन प्रैक्टिस की बात है तो मैंने जैसे अभी नोट किया कि काफ़ी वो डिफरेंट हैं उससे जो मैंने मतलब जो क्वेश्चन प्रैक्टिस जो मैं कर रहा हूँ। अब पता नहीं ये मेरी मेमोरी का इशू है कि मैं कॉन्सेप्ट्स मुझे याद नहीं रह रहे, या मैं प्रैक्टिस नहीं कर रहा हूँ सही से, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा सर, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट।
So, probably we need to divide it into two parts. One is retention, and one is uh, I'm unable to understand the requirement, like one of your fellows shared when we were discussing the corporation tax part, overseas subsidiary versus permanent establishment part. One of your fellows shared, like, I was not clear on the requirement, but later on when we sorted, she was clear, right? And I do recall I advised her, and same is the advice to you as well. Like, whenever you read the question and you are not clear what is the requirement, then try to subdivide the requirement into small pieces. So if you notice how I read the question, so if there is and comma type of stuff, I always treat that as a separate requirement. So, like, just for your reference, in the last question, conditions should be aware of, and so availability of, let's say, gift holder relief BPR, and consequences for CARA. So, I separately overall think of the conditions or availability of relief and implications entirely separately, because if you do not keep these things separate from a start, let's say, then I can tell you will really uh, struggle to address these. So that is the one piece. Like, uh, how can we subdivide these type of stuff? So that's one piece. If retention is the issue, so retention, is it like when you look for the answer, do you recall, oh, I was missing this piece? Or even if you do not recall. So if you recall, oh, that was the thing I was missing, like I felt similar type of comments today as well. If this is the thing, it means you know concept. It's like it's not in your mind at the moment. That can be minimized with the help of practice. But if it is something which you are unable to recall, that's a concern. But probably at this phase, at this stage, that would be a concern because we are like about to close all of our study aspect. We are like heading towards final touch bases. So to be very honest, these type of things very difficult to carry. So what can be done? Let's talk on that. In that situation, my advice would be, so first do let me know what is exactly the thing.
सर इसमें जैसे ये होता है कि अभी फॉर एग्जांपल हमने जो आईएचडी का क्वेश्चन किया, उसमें मुझे
Mm-hmm.
ये याद था कि उसमें बीपीआर का कॉन्सेप्ट अप्लाई होगा। लेकिन उसमें मैं ये भूल गया था कि उसमें जो इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टी वो उसमें नहीं आएगी, जैसे मैंने आपसे फिर पूछा भी था बाद में। तो जैसे ऐसे ना, जैसे जो जो कोर है, मतलब जो कुछ छोटी छोटी जो चीज़ें होती हैं एक कॉन्सेप्ट की, वो बस ना मुझे याद नहीं रह पा रही है, जो मैं नोट कर रहा हूँ अपने आप।
So these type of things can be, and inshallah it will be improved with the help of practice. I can sense that because generally while studying, we study these type of things in isolation. As such, no connection with anything. But when it comes to exams, exam topics are uh, not in isolation. In exams, every topic is linked with any other topic. So uh, that is one of the way to manage this. Two questions more, as much as you can.
ओके सर, बस थैंक यू सो मच। मैं बस ये करता हूँ क्या, बस जो सॉरी, जो मेरे नोट्स की रिवीजन है उसको मैं, और उसकी जो वो फ्रीक्वेंसी मैं वो बढ़ा दूँ, लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स ज़्यादा फोकस शुड बी ऑन द प्रैक्टिस।
Practice. So at the moment, I can tell your learning would be, learning by practice rather than learning by notes
हम्म।
at this moment.
यस।
Like the time is gone where you need to learn the concept in entirety.
यस।
At the moment, the time is maybe it's not look sounds good to me, but selective learning or learning by observation. Okay, if this happened, we have to do this. If this happened, we have to do that. These type of learning more.
यस।
And I understand work commitments, everything, and probably that's one of the easy way to most of the easiest thing to say. But anyhow, have to manage. Try to take your days off for your study.
यस सर। सर सो
Perfect.
बस एक लास्ट
Hmm.
क्वेश्चन था मेरा, कि जैसे
Yes,
फॉर
yes, please.
एग्जांपल देयर इज अ पास्ट पेपर क्वेश्चन, शुड
Hmm.
आई जस्ट डाइव इन to answer it, and then look for the answers at the back?
My friend, thanks you raised this question at your own. I was about to say couple of things on these lines. Do not do this. Read the question, think
Mm-hmm.
of answer, and think of answer in your mind and look for the answers from the back of the exam kit. Please do not do that. It's better to attempt. So let's suppose via think. So one approach is like, while we were reading the question, we were also discussing this can be
जी।
happened, this cannot be happened, right? At times, what students do is they read the question, make a mind map, and they're like, we are done. They directly start looking towards the answer. Please do not do that because via this, you are completely wasting the question.
हम्म।
Okay. So if you have time constraints, which normally, like you said, you are a working student, I understand you must have. Better is to reduce the number of questions. But if you are doing it in this way, read, think, and look for the answer. Probably you are heading towards where I was referring today earlier, quantity over quality.
हम्म।
So you will be covering more quantity, but not with the quality.
यस।
So you will be compromising the quality of the question. So which is totally not advisable.
ओके सर, मैं समझ गया आपकी बात।
Perfect.
थैंक यू सो मच सर फॉर इतना टाइम निकाला मेरे लिए।
No worries, boy. It's
थैंक यू सो मच।
always here to help support. Most welcome. Take care.
ओके सर।
हाफिज।
अल्लाह हाफिज़।